So tell me without telling me that you're at the end of an edition when you start putting out Triumph and Treachery books. Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today we're taking a look at book 4, book IV. It's very, the fact that it's the intravenous book is very appropriate because it's all about vampires. The Mad King Rises. This is what happens when you end up in the end of an edition of pretty much any GW game. They start doing campaign books, and this is the GMG review of this most recent up for pre-order today campaign book, which was kindly sent as a complimentary review copy, and could have been titled Dawnbringers, Triumph and Treachery. That's what most of this book is. Or Dawnbringers, Death Stars, because that's the other half of this book. There's also a Army of Renown and some Regiments of Renown in here to play in your sort of, I guess, all death stuff. This is the death book. So if you like death stuff, this should be for you. There is a continuation as well of the Path to Glory campaign for the Dawnbringers Crusade. So if you picked up Cities of Sigmar at the beginning of the release of these books, and you're following along that campaign setting, you get the continuation out as well. So let's dive in. I've gone through, made my notes. If you haven't been following my reviews lately, this is the new review format. We're going to go through my pages and pages of notes, and I'm going to give you the liner, the greatest hits of all this stuff, and talk about my thoughts on it in general. So part 1 of the Mad King Rises, we've got the new Triumph and Treachery. Now, Triumph and Treachery, you can see back here, it was a Warhammer thing, because that's in vogue right now. Old Warhammer stuff coming back and being, I guess, like remixed for the new generation. And it was one of my favorite things from the End Times period, 8th edition. It's funny because some people, 8th edition was the End Times was 8th edition, but End Times was almost like a cranked to 11 version of 8th edition, where the unit types were crazy and they were basically just celebrating the old world. This is a version of this Triumph and Treachery game, which is a multiplayer format for playing Warhammer. It was a lot of fun. If you actually go back, you can see I recorded and organized a bunch of Triumph and Treachery games for Mini Wargaming at the end of 8th edition. They were super fun. I brought up my buddy Clarence. Steve and I played. I can't remember who the 4th player was. I don't remember who the 4th player was because this is pre a bunch of the guys who are there now. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Short story long, great format. I'll happily do it again. I'd love to collect a bunch of the OGs to do it for Age of Sigmar. I have all the armies to do it. Like we would just do like 1,500 point game per person and do like the 4-player stuff that's in here. And there's additional formats. So what is the Triumph and Treachery format in this book? Well, it's pretty much this one, but without all the cardboard. So minus all the little command tokeny stuff. You start with a pool of 50 command points. You can't earn command points in any other way throughout the course of the game. And you spend those command points on both your regular in-game command point expenditures. So like doing all of your reactions or doing your command abilities. And you also use them on ploys. And ploys are something to do when you are either the active, the reactive, or the neutral players during the course of the turn. That's an important distinction. Because it's a 4-player game, they had to figure out how to mess with the turn structure, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But the general thing is that there's always 2 people who are active and 2 people who are currently neutral. But at the start of every battle round, before anything else happens, and there's 4 bespoke missions for this, which I'll talk about again too. You get to do like a bartering thing, and you can barter victory points. You can barter command points. Everybody keeps track of their totals on like a slip of paper. And you can do it to like make allegiances, and there's no hard and fast rules for that. There's also no rules for like not betraying somebody. You can say, if you don't attack me this turn, I'll give you 5 command points, or I'll give you a victory point because I earned a victory point last game, or last turn or whatever. You can make deals basically with this as a resource. That's why you get so many. Now, the game still only lasts 4 turns, but they're going to be a lot longer because obviously you're going to have 4 people taking active turns during the course of the game. And each one during their active turn gets to pick an enemy. So if you say, don't pick me as your enemy this turn, I'll give you 5 command points. That might be a deal that you make. But on top of that, you have ploys that you can buy, which last the round, and you have reactive ploys you can do if you're the neutral player or the attacker and defender that are only for you. And they could be such things as, let's say, a hero phase ploy, Allies of Convenience. You can pick this ploy when a player picks you to be their enemy. If you do so, that player has to pick a different player. Costs you 2 CPs. Now, the person currently leading in victory points can do up to 1 ploy per turn. So they only get to do one thing. They can't do anything else from the list for over the course of the turn. Unless they become neutral, they get a bonus one for the round to like screw with what's going on. Then the person with the lowest VP count for the turn gets to do 3, and everybody else gets to do 2. So at the start of the game, everyone's going to get to pick 2 of these per round. And during the turn, when you're a neutral player, you get a bonus one to like screw with like what's happening during the course of the game. So you're going to blow through your CPs pretty quickly. So for instance, like if you're a neutral player, you can use this ploy when a wizard successfully casts a spell that targets any unit. If you do so, you can pick the target instead of the wizard commanding the player, and it costs you 2 CPs. So like if you're watching from the sidelines while 2 guys attack each other and they try and like cast like a debuff spell, you can be like, bah! Or like a buff spell, you can be like, that goes on my unit instead. Little things like that. You can have like the Trickster's Ring. You can use this ploy when a wizard is picked to cast a spell. If you do so, a miscast occurs for that casting attempt. And it triggers on any double instead of an unmodified casting roll of 2. So like you can make that person basically miscast on doubles for the turn. Little things like that. Combat phase, you can do things like Opportune Fury. You can use this ploy at the start of the combat phase. If you do so, pick a friendly unit, add 1 of the wound rolls for that unit for a CP. It's all stuff like that. It buffs, debuffs, redirects, screws around. And so for 4 turns, you're going to have a limit of how many CPs that you can do this for over the course of the game. And also you're bartering and stuff with them. And that's neat. Then you've got 4 different scenarios to play. 2, like they all based on killing. So you earn VPs every time you kill a unit for every 100 points the unit is. Rounded down, always you get like a single victory point. And then usually there's an objective for the game. So like for instance, in Reign of Stars on turns 2 and 3, 3 objectives appear. And if you hold them, you get D6 victory points. Remember, you can barter victory points too. Altar of the Gods. There's a central altar in the middle of the table. If you hold that at the end of the turn, then you get D6. There's the Borderlands, which means the central zones. It's all basically L corners based on like the folding boards. The central 4 little territories. If you control one of them with no enemy units in it, then you get D6 victory points. There's a Relic of Power. Heroes can pick it up. If they hold it, they get D6 victory points. And that's it. So 4 different missions. They're all generally fun multiplayer missions. I think this game will work best if each player has like 1,000 to 1,500 points. If you have giant power units, in my experience, these games tend to break down really quickly. It's more fun if you have lots of little mobile stuff. Like a balanced force, 1,000 to 1,500 points. The game will move relatively quickly, but no one's damage level is high enough that you're just getting removed from the game over the course of the game. And the threats and stuff will actually mean something. So overall, I think that like the core Triumph and Treachery in here is really cool. It is kind of like an end of edition celebration style of game. I hope they do something on Warhammer community to actually show how much fun this is, because this is a really fun way to play Warhammer, not super seriously. And I feel like there's so much emphasis on like the competitive side of Warhammer right now. This should go up higher in lights. So I'm excited about it. And I'm even more excited about the second half of this, which is the War of the Mortarchs. So the themed Triumph and Treachery thing in here, it's 1 mission, 1 battle plan, but you have to play Soulblight Rules. So the idea is it's themed to that. But you could reskin this as the War of like Archeon, like, you know what I mean? Or like the Battle of the Dark Gods, the Battle of the 8 Points. Like you could very easily modify these rules to any good or evil faction that like they have like a big warlord who's like vying for power. But the idea here is that Nagash is basically, he's overseeing the game. So a 5th player gets added. You have to pick a different Soulblight faction. So you can pick any of the factions that are currently in existence to play the mission with. They can each only have a single Mortarch in them if you choose to use it. And Nagash keeps track of everything. So instead of the players keeping track of their command point totals, every time they want to do something, they have to write a missive to Nagash, and he marks their totals down for them. He can also basically like blades in the back, attempt to assassinate somebody. So you can spend 3 VPs and send a secret message to Nagash when it's your turn to do a ploy at the start of the turn. Because you have to write your ploys in to Nagash instead, and attempt to assassinate someone. He announces at the start of the battle round there's an assassination attempt, and he rolls 2d6 plus the current wound amount on any of the Mortarchs on the table. If it's higher than their starting wounds, they're just dead. They just get slain. If they don't die from it though, Nagash can choose to reveal who the one was that attempted the assassination. So like there's a bunch of like double dealing and backstabbing. It's really cool. And then he also gets to pick a favorite every round, and that person gets a 4+ word save. That guy gets a 4+ word save. There's also like hidden plots. So on top of the normal victory point, like scoring, which in the mission for this is just kill every 100 points rounded down. You can also score VPs from a random table of like hidden agendas. Like the candle is snuffed. Slay a model in the army of the player whose territory shares a long battlefield edge with your own. So basically like anybody who's on this side, the top end of the table, if you kill them, you get it. Prey on the weak, slay a model in the army of a player who has the fewest victory points. So like stuff like that. And Nagash, you write your hidden agenda into Nagash and he keeps track of your victory points. And then at the end of 4 turns, whoever has the highest victory points is the winner. And then anyone who's tied down basically they're ranked from 4 to 1. And they become the favorite of Nagash. My only complaint with the scoring in this is they have people tied for VPs roll off to see who the winner is. That just seems like it doesn't, like, why? I'd rather not have it be random. So if like 2 people have the same highest amount of VPs you'd roll off, I would just have made the tiebreak like points remaining on the table. You know what I mean? Like whatever you've got left, that's your tiebreak. That's your first tiebreak. That just seems, and then like roll off would be my last choice. It's like, it's a small complaint, but it's the only thing in here where I'm like, all of the missions should have like a clear winner and loser, and you have an obvious tiebreak, which is just points left on the board. Just do that. Just do that. Like, just use the obvious thing that's obvious. So overall, like that is literally the first, Paths of Glory is the first 70 pages of this rulebook. And this rulebook is only like, it's less than 100 pages. I think it's 96 pages. So 96 pages, 69 is just all Triumph and Treachery. And then we get into the Paths of Glory. So chapter 3 of the Twin-Tailed Comic Crusade, Diplomacy and Deceit. This is basically when the Action and Guerrilla Crusades branch off to fight death. So if the first one was them fighting, I think it was not chaos, it was destruction, then it was chaos, and now it's death. And you get new veteran abilities. At the end of the 3rd chapter, you get like chapter outcomes. So how many Crusade points you've earned, how the overall like thing is going. If you're at up to 24, then you're against the odds now. things are getting rough. If you have 30 or more, then you get chapter rewards. Your warlord gains the following ability, which can be used in battles fought against other Paths of Glory armies. Like you get to keep whatever your ability is from the mission. And then you get some battle plans like the Wall of Bones, where you're fighting the Bone Reapers, the Fell Court, you're fighting the Flesh Eater Courts, the War's Rampant Flames, where you're fighting against it's just anybody, that one. It's just the Axion side of it. And then Battle Ancient Streets, which you're fighting zombies in the streets. So yeah, a neat continuation. Like I like that they're doing narrative stuff. I don't know how popular it is, but I do like that they're making an effort to continue to like include it in the books. It's just nice. And then we're into our new Soulblight Gravelord character, which is Sakar, the Fang of New Lamia. Very cool miniature. Riding a snake, which is an Ouroboros. So it's a snake that's like a big figure 8. 160 points for a very decent all-around Soulblight Gravelord's character. Also has its own Regiment of Renown, like way of playing Soulblight Gravelords. It's very restricted. I don't see you making a 2,000 point army with it, but we'll talk about that in a second. Sakar herself, she's a decent fighter, right? She's got a new Lamian Warglaive. She's got like basic hero attacks. So 4 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1/2 damage with a 1-inch range. And then Godhusk, which is the snake, can make an additional 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2 damage. So she's got a potential damage output of 12, right? 12 wounds into a unit. But she makes a good support character because she's got 2 unbinds and 2 casts. If you use her in her army, she's got a special cast she can do as well, but just as like a regular Gravelord's hero, it's pretty great. Her defensive abilities are where it's really at though. She has a special rule called the Serpentine Agility, where she's only ever hit on unmodified 5s and 6s. So No mods matter with her. You can only ever hit her on 5s. Doesn't matter if it's range or melee. She's just too fast. It's just a flat, only ever hit her on 5s and 6s. That's a great, like back support character ability, you know? Yeah, like she's gonna have to be targeted by like direct damage spells. And even then, like you can get her a ward save, obviously, because she's gonna have the basic Soulblight's ward save. She also has a special ability. She can drop the agility for a turn if she manages to get surrounded by something, to do a like once per game pulse attack where she rolls 2d6 and compares it to the movement characteristic of everyone within 6 inches of her. And it's not wholly, it's just everyone, and they have to have a move characteristic. If like for every point greater than that is, they take a mortal wound. So like the average roll is 7, right? You can do 3 mortal wounds and kill I don't know, let's say a paladin from the Stormcast. It's neat. It could be really good. It could spike really high. I think the important thing is, like, let's say you dive into like a goblin army where there's lots of little individual heroes. Any army that tends to have like lots of things blended into a unit that are hard to find, she will blitz those. Like she'll kill a whole Goblin-Palooza, you know what I mean, in one go if she gets a decent roll, because they have a movement of 5. So if she can roll like an 8-9, she's gonna kill all of them. They're just gonna go and explode, which is neat. So it's not useful all the time, but if she's fighting an army that's like a swarm of little things, she could blow them up really well. It's cool back pocket ability. And then she has Death's Construction, which is her own sort of spell. It casts an 18-inch range. And you can pick a enemy unit that's within range invisible until your next hero phase. That unit cannot pick this unit or friendly units wholly within 6 of it to be the target of spells, prayers, abilities, or shooting attacks. So her one weakness being direct damage, she can pick someone within 18 that does a lot of direct damage in an ability, like even like a like a big caster, and just be like, you can't pick me and you can't pick anyone within 6 of me. So she just disappears. She has an ultimate defense against that last thing. It's like I said, a cool support hero, and for 160 points, she's cheap. Right, she's got a cool mix of abilities. I see her being. I mean, everything could change as we're obviously like getting into the year where they're winding this edition down. But she's got cool stats, so I like her as a Soulblight character. And then let's talk about her army, the Scions of New Lamia. So this is our bespoke army. It is, and basically you can make a start of this out of the box she comes in. This is a very specific army. You can only take Fellbats, Direwolves, her, and then Soulblight Gravelord's heroes with a wound characteristic of 12 or less. So let's take a look at what that actually means. So if you're taking Gravelords, that's going to mean they don't already have a tag. Sorry. So like no Belladama Volga, because she's got the like her faction tag and stuff. You can't take it. And I don't think a Corpse Cart's a hero. It is not. So you could do Kato. He could be in it. Not the Rat King, the one that's like a witch hunter. Coven Throne has 12, so you could do a Coven Throne. Dean Talos the Exile could be taken. He's a vampire. And so it's pretty limited from its point of view of like what you can have. And you're talking about having, and all the vampire lords on foot gain the battle line ability, which is interesting. But the Direwolves, I mean, you're talking about a 2 wounds, move 10, 5+ save, bravery 10 unit. But it's summonable. And then Bat Swarms. And Bat Swarms are, I mean, they're okay. Fellbat, sorry. 3 wounds, 6+ save, bravery 10. Like they're all just 4s and 4s. Although the Bat Swarms do 2 damage. The Fellbats do 2 damage. Which is not nothing. So what do you get in exchange for this? Well, you get your standard 6+ ward. As always. You get your... Oh, sorry, I should turn the page here. This is why I'm finishing my first half. You get your 6+ ward. You get battle line for vampires. You get 3 units can heal or raise up to 3 models within 12 of a hero. +1 if they're wholly within 6. So that's you get to refill the ranks of the bats and the wolves. You get Grave Call. It's the spell everybody knows. It's a 6+ 18-inch range spell where you raise D3 models and you can go above starting size. So you can actually grow your units bigger than normal with Grave Call, but only 1 year is doing it per turn, right? They have Bacchanal Blood, where all your heroes are either bloodthirsty or they're empowered. If they're inside 3 inches of the enemy, they get +1 attack. If they're outside 3 inches of the enemy, they get +1 to cast. So it's just one of those like they're good at doing what they're currently stuck into doing, but you're only going to have Vampire Lords and Sigmar. So yeah, it's pretty powerful, but it's not like super powerful. And then Demise by Design. These are plots. So you can pick a plot for a hero. One hero, every hero phase can pick a plot. If they accomplish it for the rest of the game, they get the reward for the plot. And there's 4 different ones. So there's Thaumic Realignment. Pick a friendly wizard. If they cast 2 spells this turn, they get +1 to cast for the rest of the game. Recruitment Drive. I like the name of that one. The plot is pick a friendly unit. If that unit destroys an enemy unit that started with 5 or more models, they get +1 to their attack for their melee weapons. A Worthy Vintage. Pick a friendly unit. It must destroy a hero or monster. They get +1 to their save rolls for the rest of the game. And then the Queen's Prize. Pick a friendly unit. If it must be contesting an objective you control that was controlled by your opponent at the start of the turn. The ability is each model in that friendly unit counts as 2 models for controlling objectives for the rest of the game. So like any unit can do it. And the plot's basically, it's not just heroes, sorry, it's any unit can do it. It'd have to be a wizard if it was the realignment one, but like you can just decide that this is the thing you're going to try and do this turn and like power up your units. So it's neat. Like it's a neat ability, but again, we have such a limited selection of units here. This feels like an army that you're only going to play small games, like small thematic games with. And honestly feels like an army for a Triumph and Treachery game. Like I don't see how this, you'd have to buy a lot of Fellbats and Direwolves to make this army work. And you get a command trait, you get a grand strategy, you get an artifact of power, just 1. The Keeper of the Royal Menagerie. At the end of your movement phase, you can pick a destroyed friendly Signs of New Lamia summonable unit and roll a die on a 3+. Half of like that unit shows back up. And it must be placed wholly within 12 of the general and more than 3 from all enemy models. And it cannot attempt to charge or make pile-on moves in the same turn. And you can only replayer them once. So that's cool. You get your general, gets that command ability. They can bring back destroyed units at half rate. And you get tons of healing built in. So you're just recycling these like endless wolves and bats. Your artifact of power is the Crown of Command. The bearer has a 5+ ward while they're within 3 of summonable units. So just keep around your little guys and you got a 3+ ward, or a 5+ ward, sorry. Your grand strategy, perfect execution. If you do at least each plot, all 4 plots is done at least once, you get your 3 CPs. So that's pretty cool. And then battle tactic, displays of dominance. So there's no sacred ground. Pick an enemy unit contesting an objective you do not control. You complete this tactic if that unit is destroyed this turn by attack made by a summonable unit. So if you kill something with like wolves or bats. You've got Companions of Royalty. Pick a friendly summonable unit that's on the battlefield that has had any model slain. You complete this tactic if any models are added to that unit this turn, and any number of models in that unit are above its starting size at the end of the turn. So like, if you basically get them above their starting size. And then exquisite plots. You complete this tactic if you complete a plot from the Demise of Design battle trait with a hero this turn. So if you do like the Thaumic Realignment kind of gives you that battle tactic. You can just keep some outside the 30 and try and cast 2 6+ spells and you'd get that one. Companions of Royalty. You have to have taken damage. So you can't just first turn do that one. You'd have to like take a point of damage and then get like a person back. Although I think there's a Gravelord's item that allows you to power yourself up by killing models. I don't remember if there is or not, but that'd be cool. You could, if there is, you could combine those things. And then, yeah, just have a summonable unit kill something. Like those all seem fairly doable, which is cool. So like I said, it's a weird army because it's super restricted in models. There's like 1 named character, Sakar, the Vampire Lords, and then Fellbats. And like, this feels a little bit like the one for the whatchamacallit, the Caradron Overlords, where it's like, here's all the units nobody uses. Let's make an army for it. This feels like that for New Lamia. And then we're into the craziness. And the craziness is there are, geez, how many? 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, actually. 6 crazy Regiments of Renown. all involving a Mortarch. So did you like Mortarch models? Well, now you can use them in any Death Army. The idea is that these can be used instead of taking an allied unit. You can use them no matter how many points you have as restrictions for allied units. And they allow you to take everybody. And they give you Usharon's profile in here. So if you haven't seen Usharon's profile yet, you can check out my my review for the Flesh Eater Courts book, because it's not actually out yet. It's only the army box that's out yet. But it's the same. It's the exact same profiles. Profiles unchanged. So if you're looking at Usharon, he's the exact same. But these Regiments of Renown are like crazy. They allow you to take like a mini version of the army these guys are from inside that army. So for instance, they all give you a 6+ ward, and they all include like a small selection of models that are kind of like correct for the army. So Archon the Blacks, Mortarch of Sacrament, you can take him and then 2 Morghast Archi and 2 Harbingers for 750 points. And what do you get for it? Well, you get to use them in your army no matter what. And then you also get the following bonus ability that they get to take, which is, where is it? Wait, where's Archon? There's the Summer King. There's Neferata. Is it not in here? Manfred? Archon, there it is, Lich's Hand. You get Deathless Retainers, you get a 6+ ward, and then you get Unholy Sacraments. You can roll a dice each time a friendly unit in this Regiment of Renown is affected by a spell cast by an enemy unit, or the abilities of an endless spell summoned by an enemy unit. On a 2+, you ignore it. So you just take them for 750 points, and they ignore on a 2+ spells. Yeah, why not? That's cool. Then Lady Olinder for 630 points. You have to take her, 10 Dreadscythe Herodins, and then 2 units of 4 Mirror Banshees. And the bonus you get for them is you get their 6+ ward. They also get their Night Haunt abilities, so unmodifiable saves inside another army that's not Night Haunt. And then on top of that, Harvesters of Sorrow. In the Battle Shock phase, enemy units cannot issue or receive commands if they're within 3 of any units from this Regiment of Renown. In addition, if you make an unmodified A+ charge roll, they get strike first. So they get their abilities. You can take Manfred for 630 points. And he has to also include 10 Graveguard and 2 units of 3 Fellbats. They get their 6+ ward. Then you get Engulfing Shadow. You get +1 to attacks for weapons used by this Regiment Renown if they were set up in the same turn. So if they show up in the same turn, then you get +1 attack. And then Cover of Night. At the start of your hero phase, you can pick 1 unit from this regiment that's more than 3 from the enemy. Move them from the battlefield and send them up more than 6 from the enemy. And they cannot move in the following movement phase. So you can just ambush anywhere you want. Just drop 10 Graveguard within 6 of the enemy and then get +1 attack on the charge. Holy crap. That's bananas. Like, the Fellbats are pretty good at that. They'd be able to be really good at picking off like wizards and little units. That's crazy powerful. That's 630 points. Usharon for 670. Basically, the box that this came in makes this formation. So you have to buy an Usharon, but you need to use Crypt Guard and then more Beg Knights. So 10 Crypt Guard, 3 more Beg Knights, and an Usharon. So if you pick up those, if you've got these already, you can make this regiment. It's 670 points. It's called the Summer King's Court, or Entourage, sorry. They get their ward save. They get Maddening Radiance. Add 1 of the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by units of this regiment around while they're wholly within 12 of Usharon. And then Summon Deluded Throngs. At the end of the movement phase, if Usharon is in this Regiment of Renown and is on the battlefield, pick a Serfs or Knights unit from your army that was destroyed and add a replacement unit to your army. The replacements must be set up wholly within 6 of the battlefield edge and more than 9 from the enemy, and you can replace them once. So you're basically, what you have is you have 20 Crypt Guard and 6 more Beg Knights, because if they get destroyed, they come back at full strength next to the table edge. 670 points. And then for 600 points, you can take Neferata. She needs to have Death Rattles, Skeletons ×2, and a unit of Black Knights to go with her. And her Regiment of Renown is going to give you... No, that's the Signs of the Necropolis. Where is it? It's going to be... They get their ward save of 6+. They get the Blood Queen's Will. So once per battle, at the end of your Battle Shock phase, if Neferata's in this Regiment of Renown, it's on the battlefield, you can replace the battle tactic you picked at the start of the hero phase with a different eligible tactic. So if you do so, you have to do one that hasn't been completed yet, but you can switch it up. Yay! And then the Blood Queen's Blade. At the start of your hero phase, you can pick an enemy unit within 12 of the Neferata in this Regiment of Renown. Until the next hero phase, ward rolls cannot be made for attacks again for enemy units against wounds and mortal wounds caused by this Regiment of Renown. So just you can turn off wards for Neferata. And then last but not least, Catacross, Mortarch of the Necropolis, and 2 units of Immortus Guard. You have to take them for 750. But they get their 6+ ward, and then enemy models with a wound characteristic of 3 or less can't contest objectives if they're within 6 of any models in this unit. They just take objectives. That one seems real good. Yeah. And that's it. So that's the whole book, is these 6 different regiments renowned for death armies, where you can just take a Mortarch and they're cool, like, buddies with you into any death army, and they gain these extra abilities. I'm going to quickly look up what the point values for some of these are, just to see if there's any kind of discount. So, like, for instance, with the one we're looking at with Manfred here, Manfred's 400 points. And then his 2 units are a Graveguard and 2 Fellbats. Graveguard and 2 Fellbats. So Graveguard are 160, so that'd be 560. And 560 plus 180, so 660, 740. So yeah, it's a significant discount point-wise. So 740 points for 630 points if you take them as Regiment of Renown. Woof, that's not nothing. Same with the one for Neferata. Neferata's, and this is where it's like, this feels end time, you see, to me, where they're just like cranking the damage output like crazy. Neferata has a point value of, sorry, I'm doing this on the app, so obviously I'm like floating around here. Manfred, Gorslav, Coven Throne. Oh, you could use the Thrones too. I forgot, in that army they were eligible, weren't they? Because they're vampires. Neferata's 410, and then she has to take 2 skeletons and a Black Knight. So skeletons are 110, so 410 plus 220 is 630, and it's 600 points right there. You're getting the Black Knights for free. So yeah, these are pretty discounted overall, which is neat. They want you to use those Mortarchs, get those Mortarchs on the table in the short form. And I mean, these are legal, like, competitively speaking. That's the like, I want you to buy these in Soulblight Gravelord armies. So or in death armies. We don't sell very many of these anymore. Go use them in whatever armies you're playing. So my final thoughts. What do I think about this book? Well, the hang out with my buddies and play games part of me loves the fact they did Triumph and Treachery. I love that they did it in a way that doesn't require a ton of accessories, because that did make the table messy playing this version of it back in 8th edition. And I think that's fun. It's kind of a celebratory Warhammer thing. It's pretty naked that when you start discounting unit costs like that in Regiments of Renown and saying like, don't worry, just take them as allies. That is a pretty naked incentivization for people to buy these units they might not be selling a ton of, use them going into the end of the edition, because there's going to be a competitive edge for having them discounted so heavily. So like that one with Usharon, if it's, what was the Usharon's cost? Because he's 460 points by himself. Yeah, he's 460. His, like, it's 670. So with 10 Crypt Guard and 3 Morbeg Knights, what's the discount basically point-wise? I bet he's the least discounted, I would imagine. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to have it in front of me because they're not in the app. They're in this book instead. I have to look in this book. Conveniently, I stuck that book behind me, though, so I could look it up. So if it's 670 for Usharon, his Crypt Guard are 140, and then the Knights are... Yeah, I bet it's the least... what are they called? The Morbeg Knights. They're 150. So 290, that's going to be 700. Yeah, it's only... so it's 670 for his. So 430 plus 290 is 630. Sorry, it'll be 750. So you're only going to save 80 points taking the Usharon one. It's still a discount. Like, you're going to save 80 points off the total cost. But the Neferata one, you're getting a whole Black Knight unit for free. Plus, like Black Knights plus. Yeah, you're getting like almost 200 points, probably 160 points for free with the Neferata one. It looks like that's the way it's been point costed. The Catacross one and the Archon the Black one too actually look like they're relatively... Let's have a look at the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, because I'm betting that one is also is also heavily discounted. Although Catacross is pretty great. Catacross is 500 points. So his is 750, and Immortus Guard are 500 points and 2 units of Immortus Guard. They're 228 each. So 940 points worth of models for 750. So a 210 point discount. You're getting one of those Immortus Guard units for free, basically, as an allied detachment. Yeah. So that's my... when they start doing that, when they start giving you big point breaks, and you can take them in any army that has the death label, I start to feel like this is a like, yeah, come on, go buy these guys. These didn't sell great. This is a get these moving. And they're cranking the power scale up a little bit, which means that it's that end of edition kind of rush of power that seems to just always happen, which is cool. It's a cool incentive. I wonder what the last one's going to look like if they do more red, because they didn't do this for any other faction. They've just done this like regiment round thing for the death armies, and all of them. So I'm curious to see what the final book looks like, and whether or not some other army gets this like end of edition, like, yeah, we crank it to 11, go for it. Get all this stuff. Let's go. And then it just like that, like cranked up power. If they don't keep they keep the faction books edition to edition usually. It'll be interesting to see if they do this time though, because when they start to turn the dial really hard, it usually means a reset's coming. So I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. It would be cool, I think, if that stayed, because I think those models are cool, and I like the idea of these like mercenary units. And they did the mercenary units in the previous books too, but yeah, this just feels like classic wind down. Look at they need to get moving in the product range and try and like turn it up a little bit. So I'm excited for the Triumph and Treachery part though. The competitive side, I bet there's going to be some people that kind of go bonkers with like the discounting on these units and see what they can build with it. I'm excited to see what that looks like, because I do think there'll be some people who are list building and being like, yeah, I'll take a free Catacross that just turns off objective control inside 6 of these units. I'll take a 200 point discount on a unit, or Ushran, because Ushran having his units like just return. Think about that. It's only an 80 point discount, which I get rules mechanic wise, because each of those units is coming back twice or once. So you're getting those units again for free. His would be the least discounted, like mechanically from a pointing point of view. But yeah, it's going to be something that people, I think this one in particular, the competitive death players are going to look at and go like, oh baby, this could be real good all of a sudden. I got a Mortarch at a discount with some friends and some cool extra abilities. So there it is, my review of Dawnbringers Part IV, The Mad King Rises. I hope you enjoyed that. And of course, check out all my other videos today. There's a Inside Tabletop on Warhammer 40,000, which I think really enjoyed making. And then I should also have some other stuff coming up in the pipe. So thanks for this. See you next time. I'm Ash. Happy working. Thanks for watching my review of Dawnbringers Part 4. You can check out other reviews today, such as for Rem Racers by Corvus Belli. And if you want to stay on top of the latest things that I'm checking out and giving you the inside info on, please subscribe. Have a great day.